zoning board of appeals for January 16th for application 2024-066 for Kyle, I can never pronounce your last name, Barat, right? Perfect?
I would never correct.
And this is a continuation of the public hearing, which was left at the last meeting. And we're going to continue on with the public hearing. We ended that public hearing by the request of the applicant because of the board not being a full board. We have a letter from Julie, who wants to recuse herself. Elizabeth, sorry, Julie is no longer on the board. We have, I might say that we have Thad Harshbarger as a new member of the board. We'll address that in a minute. But Elizabeth wants to recuse herself because of being neighbors, feels uncomfortable being involved in the decision.
I felt that. I could see she was nervous about it.
Well, you're a very nervous guy, you know, I mean, it's not...
She, not she.
No, I'm kidding.
She felt it.
Anyway, so we have a board of 4. We're not going to have a board of 5 because if you didn't feel comfortable moving forward, then it's still going to be the same next month. Okay, great. So anything new? Should we bring that up to speed or find? Have you reviewed the material and if we come to a vote, do you feel comfortable?
That's right, I've read everything twice. I have notes on it, and I'm very interested in the problem.
Okay.
So I'm ready to go.
Yeah, we had a conversation with Pat's done of preparation, and is that we're going to go through any further questions, and at that point he can see if he feels like he's fully ready, or if there's background stuff that he feels he needs further inquiry.
Right. If you feel at any point that perhaps you're not up to speed or ready because of discussion, then he can...
Yeah, we'll see where we get at the discussion. And, you know, he's done significant preparation, so if he feels he's up to speed on it, he would be qualified to vote. But if things come up where he feels as a result he needs to do a little more investigation of background, then that's at his discretion. We'll see where we are after that.
Yeah, okay, all right. So, does the board have any questions for, if anyone from the public wants to speak? Do you have anything to add? Nothing, okay.
I sent Erin an updated picture.
Yeah, I saw the pictures and I saw the survey. There was a...
Distances respected and relative to the hydrant, the signs, the curb.
And that stuff is for Aaron as far as our location for the
It's
event.
funny
No.
that you feel that way, because I don't feel that way at this point. But
Well,
you're
You're here for a height.
Yeah, but the height
But
is
these,
relevant to where the location is. So
Right.
if you say,
all of the dimensions are.
Right, and
on
we
the
have that
picture.
here, right.
does that, okay, does the map actually indicate how far from the curb it is?
Well, he has,
This is the blessing color, this is the 60 inches.
That's 60 feet.
It's hard actually. Can I,
Yeah.
this is 60 inches and shown from,
this first map.
From the curb is where they're in.
from us, so from
Yep,
here.
the picture I sent her has arrows on it, I don't know why. It should
Okay.
only the numbers.
Oh, so it's
So
60.
you'd like me to
You said
highlight
curb.
them yet again?
60.
In the pavement.
You sent the photographs, the photographs. Survey, yeah.
She asked me to mark on the survey, the outline of the
Oh, it is,
text,
it's right
where
there.
it's respected
Yeah.
to the sign, to the hydrant.
But it doesn't, I don't see a second.
The,
It's a very big.
that These is the original.
We're getting close.
All right, that's fine, as long as that's what you did. I just want to make sure that we-
Is it more clear on his original?
I don't see where it's showing.
Bushes are.
That's a
Social problem on this one.
That's the setback. It just didn't print, but apparently that is supposed to say 60 inch. I guess that's the second little apostrophe right
There's
there.
arrows on the, what Kyle sent to Aaron.
Did they show me? You said?
I guess my.
They're all
point is
jumbled
that
up on my phone.
If we didn't have a height issue, then this would have just been through Aaron, and that would have had to been designated for the fence. The fact that we have a variance issue, do we need to have that location? The location is there regardless of the height. The location's got to be where it is.
I guess that's the case. I mean, but typically, when there's a variance given, you take into consideration and specify the location too, because, I mean, in this case, it's maybe set because the fence has to be, but, for example, let's say somebody wants to build a shed that is too high.
Objection, I'm not building a shed.
I know, I'm trying to.
An objection, I've already submitted my
I'm not-
plan
this is
to
not-
Erin, who approved it as the
Excuse me.
building department,
I'm
sir.
talking to the chair of the board.
I'm talking to everybody as well.
Kyle, we have a procedure. so
I'm explaining a principle.
Everything you say seems very prejudicial to me. But go
I'm
on.
sorry if you-
I won't interrupt you again, I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm
gonna
addressing
control myself.
someone about the procedure that is generally applicable,
Please.
and I'm speaking to the chair, not to you.
Okay. I'm listening, is that okay, sir?
You're welcome to listen.
Great.
Yeah.
I'm saying, for example, if somebody wants to build, if somebody wants to build a shed that's over height, you may want to consider, well, the closer it is, the more impact it has, the closer it is to the neighbor, the more impact that additional height has. So you say, well, fine, you can build it 3 feet higher, but you've got to be this far away from the line. If you're going to be right up, because the impact, the closer something is to the line, the greater impact it has on the neighbors. So if you're giving them, say, a height variance, you care how close it is.
Right.
And that's why I'm saying, as a principle, normally when you give a variance, it is also, one of the specifications is also where it is, because it may affect the impact of that variance. In this case, it probably doesn't, because as you said, it has to be, 5 feet back.
Right,
no
it
matter
has to be where it is per building code.
Okay,
per-
so it probably, in this case,
Yeah, I get it,
but nevertheless, the drawing should indicate where it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
So, which it does.
yeah, okay, great. Does anybody on the board have any questions? Yeah, I know you have a bunch of questions, and I'd like to hear some of them, because it might pertain to bringing you up to speed.
Yeah, I do. Somewhere in all of this, it was mentioned that you want to put the fence 3 feet back from the street. And I had read somewhere that it needs to be 4 feet back.
Yeah,
So
because-
should I assume that that's been dealt with already?
So
And
that's
it's not
marked
part
as
of our
5.
deal?
Yeah,
It's now marked as 5 feet back, 60 inches back, right?
yeah, and this is,
Okay.
that's what we were just talking about yeah, that's been.
That's been
clear.
dealt
Yeah,
with.
that's been dealt
So
with,
forget that.
yeah.
Okay. The next thing had to do with the fire hydrant and how far it would be from the fence. It doesn't look
That's
like a
been-
problem to me, but it
That's been dealt with
That's
as
been
far
dealt
as the
with. Thank you.
location,
Okay.
yeah.
That's the same thing, right?
Same,
By
yeah.
setting it back 5
Yeah.
feet, that gives
Yeah.
adequate clearance, right, for the fire.
Great, all right. That's a relief. The fence, is it going to be 52 inches high or 4 feet, 5.5 inches, which would be 53.5? I think it should be consistent, what it says.
Yeah, me too, and from what I understand, that the applicant is seeking a 4-inch extension to 52 inches, is that correct? 52 inches it is it does show up different on different
Yeah,
paperwork. It shows up 4 feet 5.5, it shows up
52.
52, but we need to determine it's 52 inches is what we're seeking. So it's 4 inches high, equal to what the fence existing is,
Equal to what the existing fence is.
which is 4 foot.
Well, there's varying heights as far as area. 52 to 54, because there's different grades
Oh.
on that existing fence.
You're gonna keep it
Oh,
level
is that
and the
what that-
grade changes.
I'm sorry.
You're gonna keep the fence level and the
Yeah.
grade changes a little bit.
So that was kind of a curiosity there too. Is it worth it to pinpoint up to a maximum of, let's say, 54 inches? I don't know how the approval is given. I'm assuming it's going to be extremely specific.
Yeah,
I
well,
don't want to.
it would be whatever the height of, to me, it would be whatever the height. It's not a variation of height from the length of that fence. It's where that fence hits, where that end post is. That's the height that I would be looking at, and I understand that height to be 52 inches.
I think that makes sense to go with the corner posts.
The corner post,
If
the
ground
corner
undulates
post.
a little between.
Yeah, I don't care about this, it's where the furthest to the road. Okay. Another question?
Yeah, I was looking at your drawing of the fence, and I'm wondering, do we need to think about this? If this is being justified by the need to fence in dogs, then question one would be, why would 4 inches make a difference? If that's, what size dogs are they, and is it really that crucial? Are you afraid they'll jump over a 48-inch fence? Or is it really that you're lining it up with the other fence, which is more probable?
I would think it's a combination of both. The height of the existing fence, aesthetically, if the rest of the fence matches it, that's optimal for me.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that this additional height is going to be an extra barrier between my 90-pound dog and biting your face or anybody else who tests high, that's a reassurance for me. That's the only reason I went and endured this process. Otherwise, I would have just kept the height and sucked it up and hope for the best.
Yeah, it was.
But since it's there,
It's
since
a big
it'll look
dog,
better
and-
to me
yeah.
in my life,
Mhm.
that should be said.
And you think that that difference would be sufficient?
It'll help, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. A lot of these questions have to do with my confusion about what we were actually,
It has been very confusing for me.
Yeah,
Astute.
so I look at this picture of the fence that
Yes.
we have there already, and that's not gonna keep your dog in.
I'm gonna use hog wire in between those panels to make sure.
What
they
kind of
stay.
hot wire?
It's like hog wire, it's called powder coated.
The problem, the issue with the fence, this also states that a fence in the side and the front yard can't be a solid
Yeah.
fence, and this meets, there's enough
This meets,
space.
this is not the proposal, though. The proposal
was
is
determined-
different, but it also meets the standard.
It was determined by Aaron that it meted the criteria for a
Yeah,
solid versus an,
And in
He's-
connection with that, I'm sorry, in connection with that, it occurs to me, the gentleman who raised an issue in the first place about visibility and vistas,
mhm.
if I'm gonna be asked by a rejection of my request to lower the height of the fence, which would be maintaining that same percentage of solid to open, wouldn't I thereby be decreasing the vistas? What I'm asking for, in essence, in my
You
opinion,
would still
is
need that
to
height,
increase the vistas between the pieces of wood, thereby helping people see through that fence.
The difference is minor, and I think what you have is so far beyond what's
Minor is
needed.
what we're here for the third
Yeah.
time for.
Here's your sketch.
That was original, and we discussed that,
Yeah. So that you'll
That's
have
what
wire, will you have wire between these as well, or would these be sufficient?
and between which.
These differences, these spaces to keep your
Oh,
dog?
yeah, the whole, all, it's gonna be the height of the fence. It'll like go into the ground, essentially.
No, you said with,
Yeah, he needs the wire, the dog would get,
you need the wire between these as well. Okay.
It's gonna be a sheet. It's like a 4-foot high sheet.
Okay.
That'll
So
pass
this is,
into
this
the
is
back
actually
of
kind of,
the
this
wood.
is decorative and the sheet would be on the inside?
Yeah. Functional.
Guess I'm up to speed.
okay?
So what you're saying, it doesn't increase the total number, it doesn't increase the total block, it just spaced a little further.
That's the
apart.
funny part of what I calculated is my request involves a better percentage than what the code states. It's above code. Right now, my fence is just above it.
Okay. Let's see.
According to her as well, no, it's not something I'm pulling out of my butt. She can correct when I asked her.
All right, so I think we have all the information we need, and we want to go through this checklist of questions pertaining to the application, which Desiree and Sam have so wonderfully worked out, which is great. So in any area variance, there's a set of questions, criteria that we need to cover. One is whether undesirable change would be produced in character of the neighborhood or detriment to nearby properties. And I think when you just commented about it being more visible through the area. I have an issue about it being a fence that was higher than the standard 4 feet for the character of the neighborhood in that corner. But how does the board feel about that issue? I feel that it's, after considering it, and I did, I had a lot of issues with it, but I do think for the 4 feet, 4 inches, in addition to the 52 inches, it's a minor addition to the 4 feet. How does the board feel about that?
And I went down that area. And I know one of the comments was the fact that it would impede the visibility of the stop sign. And to be perfectly honest, the parking sign, no parking sign, was more of a blockage to the stop sign than I can imagine his fence would be. So I don't have an objection to the additional inches that he's requesting. I think there's other issues in that area, and his fence is not one of them.
Mark?
I think the 4 inches is negligible. I generally take into account a lot of what neighbors think. The man that was here was not here tonight, that was worked up about it, was more worked up about traffic.
And that's not going to change.
Which is not our,
Yeah,
our
I agree.
thing to think about. But no, I don't think that 4 inches was going to be a difference one way or the other in that particular case. If somebody's gonna stop at the stop sign or not, is not.
They're not stopping now, and
Isn't
there's
that-
no fence.
It's, which is not our purview.
Right. And Thad, what do you think?
I basically like it, but I do have a question about whether we're setting a precedent in any way by granting this. Is that going to lead other people to feel more comfortable
I would-
and
well, I
should we be
spoke
concerned
with-
about
I
that?
spoke with-
I don't think so. And
Yeah.
the reason is, every case is treated on its own merits. And because there are specific reasons the applicant is requesting this, and one of them being, it's to match an existing fence that's 2 inches high, which in itself is only a small amount over the permitted. That if somebody else came in, there's a reason why if you choose to grant this, there's a reason why that is specific to circumstances on that parcel. And if somebody else came in and had a 5-foot existing fence, that's not the same thing. It's like, well, you can distinguish, well, 4 inches in that particular location, matching an existing fence there, we felt was satisfactory. Again, this is if you reach this decision. You wouldn't have to say the same thing for someone else with a different fence in a different place. And frankly, it's an unusual, it's the fact that there is an existing one makes it different from someone who just wants to come in and put a fence out of the blue that's higher. So it's unlikely that it would have any precedential impact on anything.
Okay, I have
Somebody
one
came
more
in with a 2
question.
inches.
I noticed, Kyle, that you were talking about a 7-foot fence between your property and the neighbor. Is that correct?
No plans for that.
No?
There's a 6-foot existing,
Oh, there
which
is?
is hers.
And if it's not on the street, we don't care.
Well,
Is that right?
the building department cares if
It's-
you put a fence up, but you're allowed to put up a 6-foot fence in the back
Okay.
and side.
It's a
That's-
corner. Do you know where I live,
Yeah.
sir?
Yeah, I know exactly.
So it's 2 backs, 2 sides, and
And
2
two
fronts.
backs.
That's it.
And
The sides limit is 6 foot high. The fronts can only
Okay.
be 4.
Thank you.
So the one that's existing is on the side.
Right.
That could have been 6 foot.
Uh-huh. Okay,
Right.
thank you.
And I just want to mention it, for the record, or for whatever you want to say, but I had an issue about the fence, the height of the fence, because the height of that fence, when it came in front of the height, the original fence, the fence that's there, that should have dropped down. That fence, whether it was put up before zoning or whatever, in today's world, that fence would be in violation, because it would need to drop down to 4 feet once it hit the front of the
It
house.
does not hit the front of the house, sir.
No, when it, I'm not wording it right, when it came closer, when it came out in front of the house towards the road, that section, it's in the side yard, but so if you had a fence that's 6 feet, right, your house is here, and the fence, and your property line is out here, you couldn't take that 6-foot fence and go all the way out. You would need to come out and then drop it down when it hit the plane of the house, the front of the house, and then continue that 4 feet. So right now, that fence is at 52 inches, so it's higher than it should be anyway.
Yeah.
And so we're matching that height of that fence. But if that fence had been correctly built at 4 feet, whenever it was built,
Then I would
then
not be here.
you wouldn't be here. So we're variancing to something that is not conforming, whether or not it was pre-zoning, or I don't know who put
Yeah.
that fence up. It doesn't look like
And
George Washington put that fence up. It looks like.
Aaron
a pretty-
Gaylord who redid the whole
Oh,
house.
he did, okay, so he
That
put it up.
explains everything.
Huh?
That explains everything.
Well,
How do you not know this yet, Steve?
well,
Where have you been?
you know what I'm saying, it was put up and it should have been brought down. I didn't know whether the fire department had something to do with it, and that was my only thing. When I talked to Ken, that said that, well, it's 4 inches, it's not a foot, it's minimal. As long as we can keep that in record, so we don't get into trouble down the line. At this point, if I was to stick to that and say I wanted it personally to be 4 feet, then I would have also suggested that that fence be taken down to 4 feet back to the house and kept in compliance with the fence. But for what we're dealing with, for me, it seems minuscule to argue. I just hate that, asking for forgiveness rather than permission to do stuff, or not. It should have been caught when it was built. So moving on, whether the benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by a feasible alternative to the variance. And I think we addressed that to a degree. He wants to put this up to match that fence, that other fence.
He also claims that his dog will be better enclosed with a higher fence.
Well, I don't know if that's something we have to.
It's a justification.
Yeah, but I think the owner is responsible for keeping the dog.
I'm not gonna go meet his dog to find out.
Not at 90 pounds.
And then whether or not the requested variance is substantial, and I don't think it is. I think it's at 4 inches, at 52 inches, it isn't really substantial. If it was a ½ an inch higher, I think it would be. It's borderline for me because of that situation with the fence that's already there, should be at 4 feet. And whether the alleged difficulty was self-created. And I think clearly, because of the existing situation, aesthetically, I don't know whether we can comment on aesthetics, right? Whether you like blue and I like green, or it's not really a point, but aesthetically pleasing is, I think for me, it's not really a point, but we don't have to, it also is saying that we have to consider these things, we don't have to agree or meet on them.
Yeah, you have to consider all those things, and then in the end, you use them to weigh what it says, the benefit to the applicant if the variance is granted is weighed against the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community. And so those are the things that help you reach that, but you're weighing whether the benefit to the applicant outweighs the detriment to everybody else, or vice versa.
Right.
So,
And I personally think it's insignificant.
Yeah, I would think it's more of an eyesore if it was lower than the fence. If you had, one fence here and then you drop it down and have, I would think that would be, your eye would be more drawn to that, and you'd be like, well, why'd you do that? As opposed to keeping it one height.
Right.
No, people would be less inclined to notice the height of the fence if it's all the same size than if it were staggered.
Right. So, I'd like to close the public hearing. I make a motion to close the public hearing. You want to make a motion, you want to second it? It would be your first time seconding something.
All right then.
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
So what do we want to do? I can make a motion to,
so first, Pat, at this point, do you feel comfortable?
yeah, do you feel?
Participating.
Absolutely.
Okay. And if you just, for the record, since you're new, could you just mention what you've done to become familiar with the application? Since
I didn't understand.
I said, just for the record, can you just describe what you've done to get up to speed?
Well, I've read all the materials and done as much as I could to understand the conditions that are being addressed here, and I think, and having listened to the presentation, I think I understand what the issues are,
And
and
you said you've seen the site directly too.
I have, yeah.
You've done you've done the site visit.
I drove all the way, well, not all the way, around 3 sides of the property. And looked at it, and that's why I raised the question of the spaces between the boards on the side fence, because I saw that. I saw that they were too wide to enclose a dog. So that's why I asked Kyle about what else he was going to do to ensure that the fence was effective.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I paid attention, I read all the materials and found it fascinating.
The main thing, I think, is the way the law works. One member is permitted to act on an application that was in progress before they joined, provided that they state that they have satisfactorily reviewed the thing. So that seems perfectly
The
acceptable.
previous meetings, the letters, the whole works.
Okay, great.
Great, so moving forward, I'd like to make a motion to approve this variance, area variance, for making that, for its a 52-inch height fence in the front, 2 front yards to match the existing fence between the house and the fire department, in accordance with the survey submitted, and its locations that are marked on the survey, and in accordance with Aaron Reese's building department's determination about the air, well, not wording it right,
Open.
the space, huh?
Open space.
Open space, thank you, that the fence will provide. And
And you said you wanted the 52-inch measurement to be measured as of the corner post.
at the corner, right, so the 50, whatever that measurement, now I understand, I did not go out there with a tape measure because I'm trusting that is 52 inches, and that's, but,
Which makes sense, so you don't have to worry about every other.
yeah, so it's 52 inches, it's determined, 52 inches determined at the end post of the fence facing, which would be Hoffman Street, that comes out to Hoffman Street.
Any post of fence
Can
facing.
you talk about where it joins the other fence?
No, I'm talking where the fence ends, it comes out between the firehouse and the property line, the property, and it comes out and there's a post there and it ends. That height of that post, not 4 feet in, not 6 feet in, it's that, whatever that height is. And from there, level. At level, it might be 53 inches because of grade, it might be 47 inches. Yeah, it might be 48.
And likewise, the corner post of 52 inches. Yeah.
Say that
And
again?
likewise, the corner post of 52.
Yeah.
Could you just clarify, in post facing, did you say Hoffman Street? Was that-
I think
was
it's
that your
Hoffman,
term?
yeah.
Is that your term?
Yeah. And it's level from there. It's level, the continuation of the new fence is level from that post. Okay? Which is, obvious. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor? Kyle, you have your fence. Sorry it took so long, and I'm not sorry it took so long, this is what it does.
I am very sorry, because I am not trying to be an adversary to anybody here. I love the village, I work for the village. I'm a friendly person. This guy has an axe to grind against me,
We listened to
and as
it.
you tried to mention in the last meeting, he brought up into this sphere the entire corner, the safety of the entire corner as a whole. That was what he opened up the floodgates to, in my opinion. That's why it should have been allowed, that's why I asked the reservation permit. I think that should have been allowed to be entered, but nevertheless.
Well, we listen
I'm
to the
grateful
people
for
that
you
come
guys.
to
Okay.
you have a right to present an application to the zoning board, and people in the village have a right to
Absolutely.
comment on it.
I don't think any of the board members were prejudiced against you, Kyle.
I appreciate it.
I don't,
Thank you.
I don't believe anybody was.
And, well, no, I mean, my outward stress wasn't directed at you people for doing what you're doing. That's what I wanted to clear. I appreciate you. Who's on me for weed whacking his weeds that he keeps 3 feet high on my side of the street.
Yeah, well,
He cuts Tom Packett's, the one that's facing Hoffman, he mows that all the way down. Last year or 2 years ago, whatever, he left that shit to go like 3 feet high where my wife is complaining about it, so what did I do?
I think it's the price we pay for living in community,
Yeah.
you know? It's been going on since community.
Well, guys, yell at clouds, so.
Hey Kyle, don't forget your phone, dude.
Thanks, Sandy.
Yeah. Kyle, so you'll hear from, you'll hear from Aaron, right?
Well, you'll pass the approval on,
Yeah.
you can issue a kernel.
She'll get it, and then you'll get it, and then you're gonna say.
Thank you. What's that?
Sorry you got church now.
Thank you. That really means a lot. And I know you guys want a meeting too, I know this guy's doing his job, I'm sorry to pick on you, sir.
Okay,
It was
I'm
stressful
just trying to
issue.
do my job, which is advising.
Coming in here to deal with that, and you're that hour and a half, full of 10, 12 Cub Scouts. That was one of the challenges
That's
of
the
my
meeting
life.
I wanted, that's right up my alley, man.
So anything I said after that meeting, God help me, but the fact that I stayed quiet for that session, while those two went on this definitive rant,
I saw the
didn't
Cub
involve me.
master in the grocery store a few days after.
Yeah.
Those
Thanks
Boy
again.
Scouts are all gonna grow
Yeah.
up and move into condominiums.
They're never gonna get it.
We have minutes to approve. Thad obviously can't vote on it. I was not here at one of those meetings, so we still can't vote on it because we have the same quorum issue. So we'll have to wait until Elizabeth returns to vote on that. As far as the last minutes go,
Well, the thing is, it doesn't even matter.
it doesn't really matter,
Approval of minutes doesn't have any legal difference.
but we make it our business to.
It's giving their, you know,
And that's what I learned at the training, that it's minutes are not, you don't have to.
I mean, we still don't have a quorum from last month. That's it.
Yeah, you don't have to, that's, we can't do anything.
you're saying you agree with them. Basically, when you approve them, you're saying you agree with them, but.
Well, I've read them over and have changed some
No,
things.
right,
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
but like, when you approve them, all you're doing is, it doesn't have any legal meaning, because minutes matter in zoning proceedings sometimes, particularly because, when minutes are made, when minutes are published, it starts the clock on somebody who might want to file an Article 78
Oh,
proceeding.
no kidding.
But the thing is, as soon as the draft minutes are put up or filed, the clock starts. It isn't when they're approved, it's when the draft minutes are put up. So, and that's like one of the most important things having to do with minutes, is they start the clock on somebody who wants to do an Article 78. So, it doesn't really matter whether you approve them. If you do, they can be revised and modified. But if somebody wanted to challenge a decision here, they had to start within 30 days
Yeah.
of the minutes being filed.
Well, it doesn't hurt to do it, I guess.
No, it's
And it
good.
makes us feel more important to approve the
No,
minutes.
well, it's a good move, because it does show that you have looked at them.
Sure.
And it affirms the accuracy of them.
Right. And
If you see something that needs to be modified or whatever,
Right.
then it's appropriate to modify them and.
and if approving them is when I am not afraid to say, I save all the minutes and I have them logged,
Nice.
so I can go back and look at minutes, and I like that.
So Ken, is it enough for them to say that they reviewed them and then we don't have to bring them to them again for these?
Yeah, I mean,
these 2
people
months?
do it because it gives it a stamp of approval, and it's so that
But
we can see.
for these two, they're never gonna have a quorum for that because.
Well, yeah, you can just say that the members who were here reviewed it and.
Because you send them online and I say, hey, okay, and we can do it here again, but
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you can just do that. You're never gonna have
For these
the
two
people
past
to
two
those
months.
two meetings. You could just say that the members who were in attendance of those meetings agree that the minutes
Yeah,
accurately reflect.
fine.
what-
So, I need a motion to close this meeting.
I make a motion.
Second,
I'll second.
the meeting is closed.